Welcome to the Andy Meadows Show. Here are your headlines. The Federal Reserve says they're likely to keep interest rates the same for now. Despite Trump's calls for lowered rates, the central bank is likely to keep borrowing costs higher for longer to keep inflation in check. Bad news for anyone under 30 who still has the delusional dream of owning their own home. If you're watching, I'll give you the same advice I give everyone under 30. Learn AI, get used to renting, and don't start an OnlyFans. Rock/hip-hop/pop singer Machine Gun Kelly just revealed the unique name for the daughter he had with now ex Megan Fox via a sweet Instagram video where he played the ukulele. The couple that recently split named their baby daughter Saga Blade Fox Baker. Zero chance that name has negative consequences down the road. A week after an Air India crash tragically killed all but one member on board, we now have more insight on how sole survivor Viswash Kumar Ramesh walked away virtually unscathed. Aero consulting expert Captain Ross Rusty Amer said the fact that Ramesh was seated in 11A, close to an emergency exit, enhanced his chances for escaping disaster. Great. Now it's going to be even harder to book an emergency exit row. That was my tall guy travel hack. Adult film actress I've never heard of, Abella Danger, called OnlyFans sex challenges a circus act. During an appearance on KFC Radio, Abella questioned the validity of stunts by OF creators like Bonnie Blue, who slept with over 1,000 men in 12 hours, and others, saying these challenges lack substance, arguing why traditional adult films are better because they involve a script, a cast, and numerous crew members who all lie to their wives about what they do for a living. Another hard shoot today, honey? Yeah, I guess you could say that. We'll discuss circumcisions, country sayings, jukebox hijinks, and going off on strangers coming up on the Redneck Roundtable. But first, I asked our interns to submit some show ideas, and the best one came from Rachel, who's still in college. She had some ideas for new dating sites that are pretty solid, if you ask me.
When you're so done with dating apps but still need to find love, listen up. Dating sites exist for literally everything. Successful people, hot people, farmers, even political extremists. But what about the rest of us? I'm launching 3 new sites. Settling.com for those who've lowered their standards and just want someone who's not a serial killer. Lastchance.com for seniors trying to get one more notch on that bedpost before they kick it. And my personal favorite, batshit.com, connecting the certifiably insane with equally unhinged partners. Because who better understands your crazy business ideas than someone equally psychotic? Stop pretending you're normal and embrace the chaos.
Since this is the Redneck Roundtable, we're going to go around the table and let everyone introduce themselves and tell us one thing that qualifies them as a redneck. I will start. I once owned a Camaro/Firebird, part Chevy Camaro and part Pontiac Firebird. Chris, do you remember that car?
I don't think it was just 2 different cars. I think it might have been 3 that were somehow cobbled together.
I paid $750 for it in San Antonio, Texas, and we did not take it on the highway like you should. And once it got over 75, it would start to shake.
Yeah.
It required a screwdriver to start it. I can stop at any point. There's a whole bunch of these.
We nearly lit it on fire with a bottle rocket. I remember that.
Yeah. That is really redneck because the only reason it didn't catch on fire is the dog attacked the firework before it.
I'm so glad I didn't grow up with you guys.
Okay, so that's mine. Malone, what's your redneck fact?
Well, it actually dovetails kind of nicely with the fireworks. What did you say it was? You tried to take it out with a blowtorch or a bottle rocket?
Bottle rocket, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they're almost the same thing, right? So, for starters, I think I'm qualified just based on the fact that I grew up in Arkansas. I went to school in Mississippi, and I lived in Texas for about 25 years, and now I'm in South Carolina. So thank God there's a West Virginia that I can make fun of because I'd be out of luck. But, okay, so for most kids, Christmas is the most exciting time of the year, right? So not at our house. It was 4th of July. because that was the only day that we got to get the outdoor chairs and prop them up in the back of my dad's friend's pickup. And we would sit in the chairs on the way to the fireworks stand, which was way out. We'd pick out the bottle rockets and whatnot. And the goal when we got back was we had a street light outside our house. Well, the goal was to take the street light out, not, by the way, this is in city limits, not just by lighting up the area, but actually by hitting it or setting the trees on fire around it. And we were very successful most years. So that was, am I qualified? Did I pass?
That's definitely. I think, well, you had me in Arkansas, so.
Yeah.
It can't be a whole state of rednecks, right? It has to be some.
Chris, not to step on yours, but remember the fireworks guy when we were at the lake as a kid, and he was shooting the bottle rockets, counting them off, and he kept looking at it. Goes, was that 10?
Because he knew there was so many in it, so he was watching. That was the Roman candles that you could hold in your hand, and then it would pop out the end of it. Yeah. So you could count how many came out, and he was like, "I think that was 10." As he turned to look inside the tube.
Yeah, he was about 10 Budweisers in, and so counting the Roman candle shots were. Anyway, Chris, what's yours?
He ended up with both of his eyes still.
That's so disappointing.
I think we'll just say that growing up in what Dad would call a modular home, because that was fancier than trailer. But I do remember it had wheels, so I don't think that he was right on that front.
Yeah,
The
I think it was
mobile
a mobile
mansion,
home.
the double wide. We also briefly owned a goat.
That's
Yes.
impressive.
That's redneck.
Yeah.
Not a herd, one.
Did you
And
milk
for
the
maybe a
goat?
week.
No,
No, I
it
think it
was
was supposed to be the landscaper, and instead it was eating one of the cars that didn't run.
Did you
That's another
make
good
cheese
redneck
out of it?
fact. We had more vehicles that didn't ran than ran on the property. So.
That's pretty good.
We had a couple of those, and the goat. I don't remember much about the goat other than him always climbing up on cars. I know we had 2 horses.
You did? How did you never tell me that?
I don't know. I mean, there was nothing sad
He
that
really
happened.
likes to open up about his personal life, seems like, at work.
No, he
I
never
only
told
worked
me.
with you for a decade, Malone. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
I worked for him, with him, however you want to put it, for a decade. Talked to him for several hours a day about the shows and what was going on. And he never told me he had a brother, Chris.
What's
Apparently.
weird is there's 2 of us.
Yeah, spoiler alert, there's 2. Yeah.
Who
We
knew?
could get him in on this call right now.
So I really can't say I've heard so much about you. I've heard nothing about you, ever.
That's because I don't actually exist.
Well, Andy never visits because he lives in Alaska, and it's a long ways away. And
I'm in Texas at least once a year. How many times have you been to Alaska?
Okay, here's
Oh, yeah,
where we
none.
get to the real
None.
root of the
That's
issue.
fine, none. This
You-
is getting cut from the show, I can tell.
You seriously live in Alaska?
He lives in
Yeah.
Alaska, yeah.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
figured you were tracking your way into that. Look at you getting local with the icebergs.
Yeah. Local
Yeah,
icebergs.
he's the only guy who ever moved from Hawaii to Alaska.
That's awesome.
To be fair, I started in Alaska before I went to Hawaii. It wasn't like I've never been to Alaska. We should try this thing.
Did you decide in Hawaii that you were not a good person and it was time to punish yourself?
No. It's just work stuff.
Oh,
That was why.
that.
Yeah, he when he first moved up there, he called me and he was like, "Yeah, the other day I found out you're not supposed to pet a moose because they had a moose in the in the station parking lot, and he was like gonna go out and pet it because he's like, oh, it's pretty, and all the locals are like, no, dude, you don't go pet a moose. A moose can kill you.
You never saw the YouTube video of the moose.
No, I don't. I thought it was like a horse or a longhorn or something like that. Just a big furry animal. You can usually get away with patting them on the nose and going, "How you doing?" Hello.
They're not like they are in the cartoons. Yeah.
Well, I heard that you saw Bigfoot, Chris.
I've never seen Bigfoot directly. I've seen black bears, brown bears, a few ghosts.
Oh, black bears and
One
brown
left
bears.
yet.
Close up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is Alaska. The things here. So you're in Texas. Well, he's in Texas. You've been in Texas. Texas, all the things that can kill you can sneak up on you, like rattlesnakes and poisonous spiders. Here, anything that can kill you, you'll hear coming. That was a benefit, I guess.
Oh, I would be terrified.
You've seen him at transmitter sites and all kinds of stuff when you're out there.
Seen bears?
Yeah.
So what if it's the brown bears are the bad ones, right?
I think
they're
all
both
bears
will kill
are
you.
bad ones, yeah. But generally, you just leave them alone. The black bears that are around here are usually pretty small, and they like to get away from you and climb the trees. But yeah.
So what's the closest call? Sorry, I'm hijacking your show, Andy.
No, go for it. This is all going to be cut anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. There's no. He's got an agenda. So. Yeah,
you have an agenda? Okay.
No,
Andy
no.
always has an agenda. So what's the closest call you've ever had with a man-eating animal?
Brown bear, probably. One morning when we lived across town, we did not have a garage, and we were going to the airport super early. So I was taking bags to the car, and I had dropped off the bags in the car and was coming back to the house, and my wife was standing in the front door going, buh, 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 buh. There was a huge brown bear in the front yard that I just walked right past and did not even notice. He didn't seem to care either, though. He just wandered off and went and looked in the neighbor's second-story window because he was that big. Huge.
Good gosh.
Have you ever known anybody who's been eaten by a bear?
No, not
Anybody who's
I've
been-
heard the stories. I've watched the documentaries, and that guy kind of deserved it, to be fair.
Yeah, he had it coming.
Yeah, karma.
No offense to friends or family of that guy, but he was asking for it. So, Chris, remember when for Christmas my parents rented a place in the mountains in Tennessee so we could all get together, which was really cool. And we go there, and it's beautiful. And then second day, I go outside, and Mom is putting the trash bags out around the house. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I thought if I left this out that we could see some bears. Like, you're attracting bears to the house? Are you insane?
Got some chickens that we've also got tied up in the back there.
Yeah, so every time I went on outside, my head was on a swivel. Like, am I going to get attacked by a bear?
I guess so. I just thought of another redneck thing, actually, as far as what to do at the house. My mom was in this phase where every room had to just be filled with plants and certain kinds and shapes. And remember one time I came home to visit, I don't know if it was from college or adult life or whatnot, but she was all excited. She said, "Oh, look what I just got." And there were these fake plants that were strewn across the headboard of their bed and dripping down. And they were fake marijuana plants. And I said, Mom, you know what these are? And she said, yeah, they're plants that aren't they just so fresh and nice? And I was about to tell her, then I look at my dad and he goes, no, don't tell her. So, yeah, there's that.
That's hilarious.
Mom turned the home into a drug lord home.
The one of our aunts is taking THC. A lot of people that are using it now in some dose that you would never expect because it helps you sleep and all that stuff. She's taking. I'm not going to say who it is in case she watches this, but she takes the THC gummies to go to sleep, and I was super shocked to hear that.
She was convinced they were CBD only and handed me the bottle. I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's...
Yeah. We're not going to tell her because she'll stop taking them, but they help you sleep, so...
Everybody takes them. I mean, well, maybe not the TH. I don't know if
the
it's
CBD
THC.
ones. The CBD ones everybody takes for sure.
I think it's the real deal that a bunch of folks take.
A lot of people take the real deal.
Yeah. Like older ladies, like you're saying, people you would never expect.
Okay, let's get into our topics.
Oh, we have topics?
Yeah, we have topics.
Okay,
Those weren't the topics. The black bear, brown bear stuff, although that's a good one to to get engagement from. But if any of you watching or listening to this want to answer any of these questions yourself, head to andymeadowsshow.com and maybe we'll include your thoughts on an upcoming episode. But first, I want these two experts in the field of topics, just random topics that I came up with. I'm trying to come up with a reason to tie this together, and I'm falling short. But here, this one is like most of my topics. These are settling arguments between the wife and I. But this is a personal one. Who should take the son to get him circumcised, mom or dad, and why?
Oh.
Neither. I think it's not a thing anymore, dude. You're not supposed to do that. That's mutilation.
Well, that's true. A lot of people think you shouldn't do it, and we had that whole conversation too.
So you brought me on the show
like Dad?
to discuss penises, Andy.
It was more of a relationship question, but I mean, yeah, if you want to get literal, I guess that is a penis question too.
Didn't know that it was this kind of show, but as a single woman with no children, I've got some very strong opinions I'm about to form on this, and I think that it should be the dad because presumably it's relatable, wants to be able to say, "Been there, honey." It's kind of like when a man tries to sell me a sports bra, and he's like, "Oh, this has got great support." How do you know?
Well, that's hilarious because that's, you put it more colorfully, but that was basically Jill's take.
Yeah.
She thought that I should be the one to take him in because I can relate, and she was really freaked out by it. And I'm like, no, it's scarier for me because I can relate. So that's the last place. So I strategically scheduled a meeting that day because I get a notification when the doctor's appointments are scheduled. I was like, oh, man, I got a client meeting at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. I just can't make the circumcision. I'm sorry about that.
How old is this child?
It's less than 2 months.
Right.
Yeah, it's like,
so being able to relate and talk him through this is really going to be effective.
Yeah.
Well, were you thinking he was circumcising a 14-year-old? What was the...
I don't know how this works.
Yeah, you got a window to do it, and they don't. The hospital that he was born in, they don't do it. So you have to find a guy. It's like the Seinfeld episode. You got
like in the alley.
Yeah, you find.
Well,
I think our pediatrician brought somebody
had a big celebration around it and got the guy, the moyer or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the moil. It's called a moil.
What?
If you're Jewish, it's a moil.
There is a name for this. So there are people who do this full time, cut skin off penises.
Yeah, that's the whole job. Yes. And there is a huge debate on whether you should even do it anymore, and a lot of people don't do it, because they think it should be the man's decision when he gets older to decide whether or not.
Well, no man is going to, once he gets to age, he's going to be like, yeah, let's snip this now. It's not going to happen.
In retrospect, this is probably not a great topic to start with. I might splice this into topic number 2 or 3. But I do like the feedback.
Yeah.
And Jill will love the fact that you agree with her. Okay, this is this one plays easily off the redneck thing. What's the countryest thing you say? Like saying or countryest thing you say in regular conversation or found yourself saying?
You first, Chris. I got to think.
I don't know that I have a country saying. Probably y'all or hold my beer or.
Do people in Alaska when you say y'all, do they think it's weird?
Not as much anymore. It's a melting pot, and people have the internet here now, so they've seen videos and stuff. So.
So you don't. So y'all's the countryest thing you say.
Yeah, y'all, not you guys. You guys is what they say here, I think, typically. But
so sad.
And there's got to be something from Arkansas or Mississippi, Malone.
Well, I say a lot of things. Not all of them fit for the show, but giddy up. I tend to tell people, well, you better giddy up, and I think nothing of it. In fact, it was my sign-off phrase on the radio: giddy up and watch where you step.
Country station. Obviously.
Yeah. But you know what's strange about being in South Carolina? Well, yeah, that was a little wide open. Is when I order a beer, in the unlikely event that that happens, when I order a beer and I say I'd like, Corona dressed, they have no idea what I'm talking about. You do, Andy.
Yeah, and that's a common. I've got a buddy that orders everything dressed, and anytime we're traveling, and they look at him like, "What are you talking about? Are you insane?"
And it never comes back right. So I have to explain it's salt and lime. And so then I'll get a glass where they've rolled like the entire glass, but only half of it in salt. It's very peculiar, their interpretation of this.
Yeah. You can't get a good dressed drink outside of the South for sure.
So what do you say that's country, Andy?
Oh, there's so many of them I can't count because So the wife grew up in Dallas, which is like another planet for most of us that grew up in Texas. So I have a ton of them that I say that she's never heard before in her life, even though her family had a ranch in Victoria, Texas that she grew up on half the time. So I thought she would know them. But the other day I said fiddle farting around.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere. I was like, hey, I was telling the kids, hey, let's stop fiddle farting around and let's go.
Yeah.
And she was like, fiddle farting around? What the hell does that mean?
Well, next time you just tell them, kids, we got to giddy up.
Yeah. I probably say that one too. And then there's a whole bunch of inappropriate ones I say, not around the kids, but got to piss so bad my back teeth are floating. I've caught myself saying that.
Hold on, I have to think. Yeah.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. I guess maybe you're filled up so much that...
No, I got it. I just had to process that a second. I heard a phrase that I'd never heard the other day, and it has nothing to do with being country, but somebody said, I'm going to take a bio break. And I'm like, bio break? You're going to go read a biography? What's going to happen? And
is this a slang for the toilet?
Yeah, so you hadn't heard it either.
No.
But apparently this is corporate speak, and so instead of going and saying, hey, I got to use the restroom or powder my nose or whatever, it's...
See a man about a horse. You ever say...
I usually
That's another one.
I usually see a horse about a man, but yes.
See that one, I like that one. People will have some suggestions on that. What song is playing in hell right now on repeat?
Oh, that's funny.
Another way of saying, what song do you absolutely hate?
Yeah, we got it. Thanks, though.
Yeah. I like explaining them.
That's tough. Maybe like Laffy Taffy or something like that, because it's just so annoying.
That Laffy
Shake that Laffy Taffy. Yeah,
I like it.
Again and again and again.
Yeah, but if it was on repeat, you tell me that wouldn't drive you crazy?
Okay, here's a different one. Is there a song that you could listen to on repeat and not go insane? You need variety.
Yeah.
What a Wonderful World, Louis Armstrong.
All day long.
I could listen to that.
Really?
It calms me.
Let's test this theory.
The song that I think is in hell is Black Velvet. Black velvet in that did smile. I don't know why.
See, I love that. I would get into that.
I would, probably the first 400 times. It would be all right.
I'll take the Laffy Taffy. You take the Black Velvet.
Fair enough.
What this question got me thinking of is, so do you watch John Mulaney? Have you ever seen his stand-up?
Yes.
He does a bit about how him and his friend would do this thing when they were ever saw a jukebox that had Tom Jones' It's Not Unusual on it. They would play it on repeat. They'd request it like 10 times to see how long it took people in the place to go crazy. And he's telling this bit on stage, and my buddy and I used to do that. Remember Jeremy, my friend Jeremy, Chris?
Yeah.
It was his brainchild, not mine, but he would do it with Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. No. And the most we ever saw that song make it to was like 8 plays and a Dairy Queen, and before they turned out, but the entire place is livid pissed by about like the 3rd or 4th play.
Did they know it was you?
No, they didn't, because that's the whole part of the bit, because people get mad and they're like, who did this? They like start to get really angry.
Only one going to the jukebox at the Dairy Queen,
Well, you got to load it up because there will be several songs. So you go in there, you put a couple dollars in, and you ensure that if nobody intervenes, there's 20 Bobby McFerrin Don't Worry Be Happy's happening, and y'all can't do anything about it other than unplug the jukebox.
I miss the jukeboxes.
Yeah. Oh, another redneck thing. I used to have a 45s jukebox in my man cave before I had to get rid of the man cave.
Oh, that's cool. Cool.
I mean, it didn't work very well, but
that's the redneck part, is that it actually didn't work.
Yeah.
If it was pristine.
One more question. You don't have to share something on this if it's too personal, but last time you went off on a stranger, like got really angry and just started screaming, yelling. Last time you went off on a stranger and why you went off on him. Chris, I know you have one. Chris's is probably like yesterday.
Ironically, it is.
Mine
what was
is
it?
actually the biggest.
To be fair, I am under the weather. I am sick, so my temper is probably fuses a little shorter. But I was at the grocery store with the wife. We were pushing around the cart, and I waited because I wanted to get to the dips, and there was a couple in front of the dips, and so I said, "Okay, that's fine. This is the way the world works: is that you wait your turn." But they weren't looking at anything; they were looking at their phones. I have assumed, okay, maybe there's a grocery list. Maybe they said, "Hey, do we need this?" And they're waiting. So I waited, probably 90 seconds at least, or 2 minutes before I got loud and said, "This is not how the store works."
No. Oh,
This is not how lines work.
Were these large men or old ladies? I mean,
No, it was a couple, probably my age. It wasn't. These are people that should know how the world works. I would give more courtesy to, well, maybe not. An older lady is what I was going to say, but I think either way I'd get frustrated. But I probably wouldn't. I just went right between the two people yesterday in the store and grabbed what I wanted loudly. Yeah. Yeah.
what kind of dip was it?
Okay, so.
Was it
Worth it for queso.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I got it.
Malone, what's yours?
Well, I was trying to go first because mine is the biggest downer you'll ever hear, but I go off on strangers so incredibly rarely. It is so hard to make me angry. But this happened in 2008, December of 2008.
Good Lord.
I know, when's the last time you saw me go off on somebody at work, right?
Yeah.
So, about somebody. Now, that's a wholly different matter. But my mother was dying, and we were at the hospital in the ICU, and my mother had been adamant that she did not want to go to the hospital morgue, that she wanted to go directly, see, aren't you sorry you asked? She wanted to go directly to the funeral home. Well, she died. My brother and I, the nurse comes in, and so immediately I contact the funeral home because I'm aware of this. And the nurse says, "Well, we're going to put her in the morgue till," and I said, no, she doesn't want to. We're going to wait here. And she said it's hospital policy, and she's starting to, bring the rolly thing in. And I lost it. I really don't even remember that well, but my brother said that I did the jaw cock, which only happens every few years, and like when I'm about to really get angry, that happens. And he said that happened, and then I apparently told her that I was going to sue the hospital because you have no right to this body. Do you understand me? So that's my story. But the body stayed in the room.
Hey, and that's a worthwhile cause, though. Obviously, to do it for that. And Chris and I have a similar one because when our grandfather passed away, he wanted to be buried in his overalls because that's what he wore every day.
Yeah.
At least when we knew him, he was retired.
20 years of his life.
Last 20 years of his life. And they wanted the other folks in the family, not going to say who, wanted to put him in a suit. And we were like, no, And to his credit, our other brother, Rob, stood up and was like, no. And I think my dad said something too, but he ended up being. Did we bury him in overalls, or am I misremembering that?
No, he's buried in a suit, dude.
God,
Rob wore overalls to the funeral.
Oh, that was right.
That was
Rob
a
wore as a
protest.
protest.
Yeah.
Rob wore overalls.
Y'all need to go exhume him and fix this.
I can't believe I misremembered that, where I thought we did win that battle.
No, he looked like Uncle Junior from The Sopranos when we buried him. He did not look like Grandpa at all.
Awful.
But he didn't care. He was dead, and he was the kind of guy that wouldn't care.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I think. I think that was Dad's point. He was like, if he was here, he would say y'all are stupid for arguing about this.
Well, there's that.
That was his point,
My
but-
brother, I really hope he doesn't die. I mean, yes, because he's my brother, but just really because of what he recently told me. He said, when I die, this is what I want you to do. I want you to have a huge party at the funeral home with a band and rock star music and walk-up music and fully decorate. You know, it's event planning like he used to do for the pro arena football team, all this stuff. And I said, Jack, I don't do that. I don't know exactly how. Can we maybe just,
yeah.
Say bye? He was a good man. No, huge party. So if he started,
I have one request. I just don't want my legs chopped off, because a lot of tall guys, they cut your legs off.
No, they do not.
They do. I'm not kidding, because
For
it
the
saves you
coffin?
money. To save money on the coffin, if you're a certain height, sometimes they hack you off a little bit.
That is
So you're saying
horrible.
you want to be buried and not cremated?
I don't want to be cremated. That's creepy. I don't want to be burned.
Oh, I want to be burned. Just
I do
light me up.
too. I don't want to lie in the ground with the worms with my legs cut off. Although I'm probably safe at 5'2".
I don't know. It's just too Twilight Zone-y thinking, like, what if I wake up and I'm conscious, like they thought I was dead, and then they're low. Of course, if I wake up in a coffin buried in the ground, it's still a bummer.
See, there's another
I want to
benefit.
be cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot to give mine. So mine was fairly recently, which if Malone will test, at least Chris has probably seen me go off on more people, but I have a long fuse too. I don't tend to go off on folks that
Agreed.
often, but I was on the phone with the wife at Costco. I was at Costco. I was in a hurry, and I wanted to sample the what was it? It was something. Oh, tamales. I wanted to sample some tamales to make sure I was buying the right one, and I went to grab one, and the lady yelled at me, "They're not ready yet." And I was like, "Okay, I'll wait," and like really jumped on me. And I was like, "Oh, well, are you about to put them out?" And she goes, "I'll tell you when they're ready." And I'm like, "Okay." So I calmly walked off, but Jill could tell in front. She's like, "Keep it together." And I walked back, and she had some of them laid out, but not all of them. So I thought I'll just grab one. Apparently, she wants to lay them all out before anybody grabs one. So she slapped my hand, and I lost it. I called, and this was probably not a sweet, but probably a 70-year-old woman, right? And I called her every name in the book and just started. Yeah, it was not pretty. And the wife is like on the other end. She's going, "What in the hell is happening? Why are you screaming at somebody?" I was like. And I tried to explain it, and of course, when you explain it, you sound like a total jackass because it's over tamales.
I was reaching into her tamale making.
It was in the little cup. If you put it in the cup, it's ready to be grabbed.
At least
That should
you
be the rule.
didn't assault her, or did you?
But yeah, she was like, "You're going to get us banned from Costco." But
Well, she
I
should
didn't.
be.
That lady should be banned from Costco.
That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Apparently, we're boring,
Usually,
Chris.
not to say anything bad about Costco, usually the sample people there are super nice. This is a little game we call Half a Minute to Win It. Answer 5 questions in 30 seconds, and you could win $500. Only first answers count. If you don't know, you can pass. And if there's time left, we'll go back to it. To demonstrate how to play, I've got my friend Stephanie here. Steph, are you ready to play?
Yes, Andy. And I'm going to crush this and count that 500 I win from you against the 1,000 you owe me for betting against my Eagles last year in the Super Bowl.
A, again, you're not eligible to win because we're friends and this is just a demo. B, there's zero chance you get all 5 of these right in 30 seconds because we're recording this at 4 p.m. and I know you've had a half a bottle of Pinot already. And C, if Goodell would get off his ass and ban the tush push, your precious Eagles would never win another division title, much less the Super Bowl.
Cool, so you still owe me $1,000. Got it. Let's do this.
According to researchers, the average man starts to go gray at what age?
35.
The fifth community card drawn from the deck in Texas Hold'em poker is known as what?
The river.
Dolly Parton played Truvy Jones in what 1989 film about a small Louisiana town?
Steel Magnolias.
Which South African singer hit number 1 in April of 2024 with the song Water?
Tyla.
Spell harmonious.
Harmonious.
Ooh, so close. I think you got at least 3 out of 5. We'll have to check the tape to see how you spelled harmonious. But you definitely missed question 1. The average man starts to go gray at 30, not 35.
Because he's a Cowboys fan?
Nice. Thanks for doing this, Steph.
No problem. So you gonna Venmo me that 1,000, write me a check, or...
Oops, looks like we have lost the connection. Here's my Rex. Rivals on Hulu, although it's sad what passes for hot in the UK. The Last of Us up until Season 2, Episode 2, WTF, most depressed I've been in years. And Bad Thoughts on Netflix, even though, wow, coming out of the gate hot with the assassin that poos himself, and that gym episode was hard to watch. Rants, also gym-related. People who grunt loud enough for everyone to hear them at the gym. Calm down. We all see that you're working out, and we're very impressed that you can curl 60 pounds now while staring intensely into the mirror. But turn the MGK down or take your AirPods off and keep the guttural noises to a reasonable volume. Time for your future Game of Games question that will be in one of our upcoming Game of Games live on social and YouTube coming soon. Today's category is movies. What movie is this quote from? Please, sir, give me some more. Not that one. I just have to get into my British accent. Hiya, kids. Here is an important message from your Uncle Bill. Don't buy drugs, become a pop star, and they give them to you for free. That was pretty bad. That's the worst accent I do. It's not the most offensive, but it is bad. Is it A, Almost Famous, B, Josie and the Pussycats, underrated film, or C, Love Actually? Answer now at andymeadowsshow.com. That's it for episode 1 of the Andy Meadows Show. We'll see you next week, probably.